Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the number one network in the United States of America. And also, Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and the good old boys down south. I also want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. So thank you so much for following Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, and of course across the pond in London as well as in Paris. And of course, you know, I want to try this one more time because I screwed it up yesterday. I want to thank our good old boys up in Canada. So I'm going to say, "Oh, Canada, our home and native land." Now, I don't care what you say about that, Big C. I hit a home run with that introduction to Canada, but there's still no one I love more than them good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
A lot of times in baseball, if you don't get bad first base, sometimes you just call it a punt. You know? And so, you know, like I said, I keep learning about the effect of my beer run more than anything else. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're going to have to straighten it up and get the whole song in or leave it alone because it's affecting my hydration down the road.
Well, I understand, Big C. They say the best form of flattery is imitation, but I do love the Canadian national anthem. I love the United States, of course. We love everybody on Big C Sports. This is a happy Friday. We thank everybody for following all around the world. Today is a beautiful March the 24th, 2017. I know here in Northern California, a lot of good things going on last night. I was down in San Jose last night, Big C, following March Madness, and Xavier got to Arizona because Arizona forgot how to get the ball to the best guy who scored 15 unanswered points. They were stuck on 71, and everyone touched the ball but him, Big C. Your thoughts on March Madness?
Well, Charlton, you know, we talked about guard play.
Yeah.
Being essential in advancing in the NCAA tournament. And when you look at the teams that have moved on, Charlton, it's been because of the control of the ball from their guards.
Yeah.
Every team has a superstar at some position other than guard, but when you have a floor general out there, Charlton, that's the difference maker.
Yeah.
Is that guy recognizes who's opening, he's going to distribute the ball, but when you're not getting the ball to a key player, Charlton, that has gotten you to that point in the tournament, and so many people picked Arizona to go home and play in the Final Four.
Yeah, me too.
It was last night. And you think about the Pac-10, what's the Pac-12?
It's Pac-12 now, but it might be Pac-16 in about 2 more years, Big C.
But, you know, they've been represented well here in March Madness.
Oh, yeah.
They still have 2 teams alive, UCLA and Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon last night played a marvelous game against the University of Michigan, who has been one of the hot hands in the tournament and gotten further than most people expected for them to, Charles. But
Yeah.
Oregon Ducks rallied late in the game and played that team game, Charles. When you talk about dispensing the ball,
Yeah.
the Ducks did that last night out of the Pac-12. Well, Arizona failed to do that in the end.
Yeah, and of course, you know, sometimes, and it's part of just the coaching, because when a team can be hot, they can win the Pac-12 championship, and they can have a good Butler team, which always makes a good run. But Arizona was up by 8 points with about 3 minutes to play, Big C, and they showed a lot of Steve Kerr in the audience. I wonder if the coach for Arizona was also looking at Steve Kerr instead of saying, wait a minute, call a timeout, give the ball to the guy who scored 15 points in a row, Big C. Do you think that makes any difference where they're trying to look up and see if this NBA coach is kind of, you know, paying attention to what's going on? Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, I don't know if you're paying attention to an NBA coach stuff because you got to this point in the tournament based on team play.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like what we witnessed in the Super Bowl. When you have an individual who wants to be the, you know, unanimous
The guy. Yeah.
And he goes against what's good for the team. And we saw that at the quarterback position. But, you know, you get that in the tournament. You got these young men, Charlton. Sometimes people want to look at them as 28, 30-year-old basketball players. They're not.
Yeah.
Even though they spent the majority of their life doing that. And you know, when you got an 18, 19-year-old kid out there trying to control the game, egos get in the way because we see that national spotlight on it.
Yeah.
And so we want to be known, and we want to be seen at ESPN. That night on SportsCenter, we want to be seen at USA Today. The next day on the cover of the sports page. And so that's what happens with so many young players is that coaches have to learn how to curtail the exposure to the media.
Yeah.
The interviews that they can give, the exposure to them, that talk to them Don having his coach around, Charlton. You know, we see so much of that with the Ball family.
Yeah.
There in UCLA. I mean, the dad is on every talk show. And, you know, people are talking about the dad, Charlton, but think about it from this aspect. What control does he have about getting on the talk show? The fools are bringing him on the talk show and getting into debates with him.
Yeah.
Those are the real stupid.
Well, you know,
broadcasters who want to bring this guy in and get into a debate with him because he's more than happy to have the publicity.
Well, I think Stephen A. Smith was doing something with him, and it just kind of went on. It's like, what's the point, Stephen? Here's a guy asking for attention when he's just robbing all. It's almost like his son had a birthday party, and he decided to show up and have him sing happy birthday to him. But speaking of happy birthday, I want to say this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, have you decided to wash off the muddy Escalade that's so choice right now all over the country? I'm seeing everybody advertising by their dirty cars. Big C, that make any sense?
Right now, I'm getting a little help from Mother Nature. I mean, she's telling the cars a little yellow out there. You know, we got a lot of pollen here in this area.
Yeah.
You know, because of all the trees. And so that's what's going on right now. That muddy yellow going on the cars. We got a on there right now.
Yeah.
But, you know, I want to go back to that point that you made about Stephen A. Smith, though.
Yeah.
You know, he is a guy who's great professional.
Oh, yeah.
You know, years of credibility as far as doing what he does.
Yeah.
But I think he lowered himself in getting into it with Ball's father.
Yeah.
You know, Stephen A. has much more character and integrity than that, than what he was allowed to be drawn into.
Yeah.
And so it was like he was baited. You know how somebody always say, hit me.
Yeah.
That's basically what Ball did to Stephen A. Smith. And so he got into that childish game with him.
Yeah.
You got to know as a professional to just walk away from it. This guy needed the publicity. Stephen A. gave it to him. He gave him a platform on national television that streamed live everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, went all across the internet. So Ball got what he accomplished. I don't think Stephen A. got what he wanted to accomplish out of this scenario.
No,
and I don't know if Ball will get another interview after the outburst with Stephen A.
Yeah.
This is what the national media has to protect against. This is the reason why live broadcasts always have a 7 to 15 second kill switch.
Yeah.
Just in case profanity is spewed out there, that you can kill it.
Yeah.
And so this is the scenario with Ball. Everybody needs to hit the kill switch. He's gotten all of what he should get. He's had his 15 seconds of fame, okay?
Yeah.
Let him go and leave it alone from there.
And I think you're so right. And the fact that when you think about his son, they've already said he's like the Kentucky kids with Calipari. He's going to be a one and done. UCLA has a big game tonight playing against Kentucky. And the fact that I hope that UCLA wins because I'm a West Coast guy. Really, I just love watching good sports. But I grew up watching the great John Wooden coach from Lou Alcindor to Bill Walton and all them good old boys, or Reggie Miller and Tyus Eddy, a lot of the great players that played at UCLA. So I love the program, seeing the Bruins over the years, being out here on the West Coast, Big C. But what a shame that his son has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go to the Final Four or even to participate in March Madness, and the father makes it about him instead of the son. And I know everybody can raise their kids the way they want to, but I know his son must feel like, my goodness, Dad, just let me be a part of the team.
But Charles,
yeah.
It's not the father making it about him. It's the media making it about the father.
Yeah.
You only get the interviews and the live coverage when the media gives it to you, Charles.
Yeah.
So you can't blame the kid. The kid is not doing anything
No.
detrimental to himself.
Yeah, it's not the kid.
It's the media doing something detrimental to the kid.
Yeah.
Leave the kid's dad out of this. I mean, it's like he even brought LeBron James' kid into an incident, and LeBron said, hey, leave my kids out of this.
Yeah.
It got nothing to do with this. I don't bring my kids into anything I do other than me being a dad at home.
Yeah.
It's not involved in anything else. And when you think about the burdens that so many kids carry who have fathers who are great athletes,
Yeah.
we have not seen that replicated much in sports, period, okay? To have a dad who's a Hall of Famer and have a kid who follows in his footsteps.
Yeah.
That is a rare feat, Charles, because when you think about the great basketball players who have had children over the years, Charles, and none of these kids have been able to duplicate or replicate their feat. Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
You know, his children. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. His children. Ralph Sampson. his children, and the list goes on and on, Charles. There's many more great basketball players who cannot duplicate the feats of their dad.
Yeah.
But there is one family, and I want to send our thoughts and wishes out to the Matthews family, Charles. Clay Matthews Sr. passed away today, age of 82.
Oh, really? I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know that.
His son, Clay Matthews, played in the NFL. Bruce Matthews also.
Yeah.
His grandson, Clay Matthews III, plays with the Green Bay Packers, as well as he has another grandson, another Matthews, who plays with the Eagles, who's a linebacker.
Yeah.
But he was the patriarch of the NFL. Everybody has thought about the Manning family, thinking about,
Eli and Peyton. Yeah.
Being the patriarch of
Archie Manning. Yeah.
This goes back to the Matthews family, Shelton. When you think about the number of years that this family has played in the NFL, Shelton, we have a third generation of them right now playing in the NFL. We got Hall of Famers in the dad, the grandfather, and the dad.
Yeah.
And we have one son that potentially may be. So when everybody wants to talk about Archie Manning being the patriarch of the NFL father-wise, no, he's not.
Yeah.
He's down the line compared to the Matthews family. Just want to send our condolences out to that great family tonight of athletics in the NFL and pro football. So.
Yeah, and I said the same thing, Big C. I didn't even know that it happened, but I do want to send our thoughts out to the Matthews family. And here's a guy that not only did he have his kids do the game, he just played. He just showed up and played, and a lot of the families around the country who have to live up to a parent, look in the NBA over in Oakland tonight. Sacramento's going to be at Golden State, and you have Steph Curry, and his father Dale Curry played the NBA. But even when he does games in Oakland at the Coliseum, and I've been to a couple of those games, he doesn't make it about him. He leaves it to his son. In fact, he has another son that plays in the NBA, two kids that play in the NBA, but he never makes it about himself. It's always about the class of Steph Curry. So what could Mr. Ball, and we'll leave it at that, what could Mr. Ball learn from Dale Curry, who actually played pro ball in the NBA? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charles, if you think about the Warriors, they have two players whose dads were #1 draft picks in the NBA. And Klay Thompson's dad, Michael Thompson, was the #1 overall pick in the NBA when he came out of the University of Minnesota.
Yeah.
So these kids learned from dads who played the game, who were not trying to live vicariously through them. And throughout their careers, I think we've only seen one memorable situation with Steph and his dad, and that was an ESPN commercial, which is one of the greatest all-time commercials.
With the popcorn? Is that with the popcorn?
He was sitting in his dad's recliner. His dad walked up with the bowl of popcorn.
Yeah.
And he jumped up out of his dad's chair, and his brother slides to the second right on the couch.
Yeah.
Like, one MVP, huh?
Yeah.
But, the dad wasn't trying to live. It was a lighthearted scenario that any parent can recognize when you go to sit down. And I remember when my kids were little.
Yeah.
I always had a favorite recliner. And I don't care what they were doing. They could be on the floor playing with toys, doing whatever.
Yeah.
But if they saw me walking towards that direction of the family room to get that recliner, somebody made a move to get in my seat.
Yeah.
Just automatically, it was like they knew that hey, I'm taking the chair because this is going to kick dad off.
Yeah.
It's like you couldn't even say my name, but you're still in my kid.
Yeah. And that's funny. And you know how kids always, they want to come get in bed with mom and dad and snuggle up and all that jazz. And sometimes as they grow up, what I appreciate about Dale and his son, they have a lot of class. You can tell the way they carry it. If anyone could have an ego, and I know he has an athletic ego on the court because he's lights out. He's so focused. But when it comes to the community, Steph Curry, he spends a lot of time signing autographs, spends a lot of time shaking hands and taking photos. And his time, he can't let it take away from the game, but he does it before and after games, Big C. And that's what makes him a class act. So I really want to just give props to his father for being around the profession and showing him how to behave. And that, to me, is what I think Ball is missing. I'm sure that they'll work it out somehow, but I want to see a lot of parents be involved with their kids, so I appreciate him for that. But sometimes you just got to step aside, Big C. But I want to get your thoughts. Yeah.
Look at this one thing, though. Think about how many fathers have had these so-called superstars in college, go into college with all this hype and praise.
Yeah.
But when we look at it overall, and I think a lot of fans don't realize this, Charlton. There's only 2 rounds of draft in the NBA, okay? 2 rounds. And only the first round draft pick is guaranteed a contract, a team spot.
Yeah.
And we know that just because you're a number 1 draft pick doesn't guarantee you success in the NBA. If you look at the Lakers' last 3 number 1 draft picks, have any of those players made an impact in the NBA? Really, Charlton? Look. I mean, they haven't made the team any better.
Yeah.
You know, the Lakers has not won 30 games in the last 3 years in a single season.
Yeah.
But you keep getting these number 1 draft picks. So the problem that a number 1 draft pick brings, Charlton, and the Philadelphia 76ers can attest to that, because they've had the number 1 pick for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And they can't win 20 games.
They might want to get Allen Iverson back if they want to start winning some games again, Big C.
Yeah, they're going to go see if Moses Malone can still run.
Yeah.
You know, he started off there. Maybe Charles got 1 rebound left.
Yeah, that's funny.
You know, so when you look at that, just because this kid is a budding superstar at the college rank, Charlton, does not translate into success all the time in the NBA.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of number 1 draft picks sitting around wondering where did we go wrong.
Yeah.
You know, it's true. There's more of them that fail than succeed. You know, otherwise we have too few teams in the NBA.
That's very true.
So, this is one of the things. He's a good player in college, Charlton. He's not the best player in college.
Yeah.
That's what some people have to remember, that he's the best player in college. He's not the best player. He may not even be the best player on the team, Charlton. Look at that flip. The big guy in the middle.
Yeah.
That guy, you know, he's the second leading freshman scorer in the country, Charlton. He's had 11 double-doubles this season.
Yeah.
That's an impactful player. He was the reason why they beat Kentucky the first time they beat Kentucky.
Yeah.
You know, and they ended Kentucky's 42-game home court winning streak.
Yeah.
So UCLA was impactful. And it wasn't ball that night. The game that they're going to play against each other tonight, Charlton, in Memphis, it's essentially a home game for Kentucky when you think about it. It's a stone. So a lot of people rode their horses to the game.
Yeah. Did you say they rode their horses? Is that what you said?
Hey, that's what they have in Kentucky.
Okay, the Kentucky Derby. Okay, that went over my head. They see, I apologize. I'm usually on top of my game when it comes to horses and all that jazz. But also when it comes to fathers, I just want to say I talked to a pastor out here by the name of Pastor Dan and met him through the help of a friend of mine. She's an attorney, Karen Holloway Smith. They're actually doing something that's a great cause that maybe even Lonzo Ball could pay attention to. Karen actually went to UCLA, and she's a Bruin, and they actually have a GoFundMe page on Facebook. Big C, they're helping to create clean water wells in Africa. Now, that's a worthwhile cause, and I would hope that ESPN would have spent some time on that as opposed to trying to make a father look like a buffoon arguing. Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick donated a lot of money to African famine relief and food supplies and all of that he didn't get any notoriety from.
Yeah.
But yet, you know, you got President Trump wanting to go out and threaten the rest of the NFL owners about not hiring Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
But yet he couldn't get this health bill passed.
Yeah.
You know, you're spending your time looking at...
Wait, hold on. I know I read a lot, but did you say that Donald Trump did not get the bill passed for health care?
Oh, no. Trump can't fail. You know?
Wait. You said the same Donald Trump that said he's a deal maker, that guy?
The guy who said the first thing he's going to do when he gets in the office is replace and repeal Obamacare. Day one, okay?
Yeah.
Day 61 fell on his face, okay?
Wait.
Day 61, Charlton.
So you mean the guy that was not an American, the illegal American who's president, that Donald Trump said he's a legal American, that he's not really a citizen of the United States, but he's smart enough as a non-citizen to pass health care for the first time in the history of the United States. He got it passed, the black guy, but Donald Trump couldn't get it done. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Donald Trump, this was easy to repeal. And now his stance is, well, maybe this is what I said. I really didn't want it to pass.
That's funny.
This was his answer today. Is that I really didn't want the repeal to pass because now they can see how bad Obamacare is.
Well,
after 7 years. Okay,
yeah.
You talked about it as a Republican part of our nation's leadership.
Yeah.
Of our political party.
Yeah.
For 7 years, you said you're going to repeal Obamacare.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's no longer the president. And with him not being the president, you said day one this is what you were going to do. This is what you set out to do for 7 years.
Yeah.
So what you announced to the American public today, Charlton, as a Republican-led House, Senate, Congress, and White House, is that you're in F.
Yeah.
You do not have the ability to follow through on the things that you say. For the past 7 years, this is what you ran your platform on.
So let me.
Over a bill. For 7 years.
Now you're a sports guy, Big C, and we love sports. And Donald Trump, he's part of the political figure in the United States, but he also helped bankrupt the USFL and tried to buy the Buffalo Bills, and the good old boys wouldn't let him do it from the NFL. So Obama passed health care in the United States, but Trump care failed. Is that what you're saying, Big C?
Well, Obama had it done after his second year in office, Charles. During his first term.
Yeah.
Then Obamacare was made the law.
So is Paul Ryan going to be looking for a job, Big C? Is he?
Paul Ryan he's going to repeal Obamacare.
Yeah.
He ran the House on that platform.
Yeah.
He's been the speaker on that platform that we're going to repeal this. We're going to repeal this. But, the thing that they didn't count on, Charlton, is that the voters were intelligent.
Yeah. No, not all voters were intelligent. He did win some kind of vote, Big C.
No, Charlton. They thought the voters who were on Obamacare, they thought they were all black.
Oh, yeah.
They honestly did.
Yeah.
They honestly thought that all the voters that were on Obamacare were black.
Yeah.
They didn't realize that 80 to 90% of the people that are on the Affordable Care Act are white Americans.
Yeah, and that's a crazy thing.
They didn't count on.
That's what they didn't count on. And ironically, Big C, a lot of people don't know that Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act, they are the same thing. But the divisiveness in the White House right now is they want that southern white vote to say don't vote for this black guy, because there's always been some type of issue with black men when it comes to power. And even today, it's just more overt, I guess, covert right now, Big C.
It's about the man. The words that you use.
Yeah, and so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question, Big C. You're saying that Rush Limbaugh is still covered today. Is that what you're saying?
Rush Limbaugh does not deny him health care. He was sweating, Johnson. They denied me health care. Regardless of how much money I had.
Could you imagine Rush Limbaugh, what he looks like trying to pass a physical to his doctor? Good news for Americans. If Rush can get covered, everybody can get covered. So good job, President Obama. Your thoughts?
Well, here it is, Johnson. All those people.
Yeah.
As they blasphemed, President Obama for the past 7 years about Obamacare.
Yeah.
That meant that they never cared about the people who were covered.
I know it.
This is what you have to look at from a political perspective.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about how bad Obamacare is, that meant that you never cared for the people who were covered.
Yeah.
That they did not matter in your life or in your world.
Yeah.
That's un-American, Charlton, when you want to talk un-American, is that you want to devoid American citizens of the right to life.
Yeah.
Of the right to proper health care.
Yeah.
That you want to replace them. You never seen in the past 7 years, Charlton, that you had an opportunity to put together your platform and your bill that would be better than Obamacare. You could not come up with anything better.
Well, my goodness, what?
In 7 years, you could not come up with anything better than Obamacare.
Yeah.
The Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
What have you been doing for your constituents, Charlton, for the past 7 years?
Oh, I know. At least he's been a game show host, and he's been golfing like every week down in Mar-a-Lago, basically. So hopefully, I'm glad for Americans who can go and get health coverage. Just being down in San Jose last night, watching the Gonzaga and the game with Wake Forest. They played West Virginia. And what a great game it was. Went back and forth, Big C. But I realized that state, a lot of people, they need Obamacare because they got to stay healthy. So congratulations to that, and hopefully people can stay covered. I want to get to one more game tonight, Big C. Talked about North Carolina. They're +7 over the great Butler. Butler just seems to get it done all the time as a smaller school. North Carolina is the #1 seed in the South region, 29-7. Butler's #4 seed, Big C. They're 25-8, and that game is already tipped off on CBS. That's a 7:09 start. And I'm just telling you, with North Carolina can win if they play the way they play. They lead the country in rebounds at 43.8 a game. and their rebounding margin is plus 13. If you think about a team that has a plus 13 rebounding margin, how does Butler find a way to get this game done if there's going to be any type of an upset? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you got to look at a program that's been to the Final Four in the last 7 years 3 times. Well, in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
3 times in the last 7 years, and that's Butler.
Yeah.
So this is a program out of the St. Louis region, Charlton, that knows how to play basketball. They recruit kids that fit what they do.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the key. I mean, you know, hear kids at Butler talking about, I'm out of here after a year. I'm out of here after 2 years. I'm here to get an education. One of the key elements about getting an education in college, Charlton, is that not only you develop as a person,
yeah,
but you develop as a team player. And that's what you have with some of the smaller programs that have become elite programs. Gonzaga, Butler, you know, when you think about the consistent appearances that they have in the tournament, and one of the pluses, Charlton,
yeah,
is that when they return to the tournament, there's players on the roster that you recognize.
Yeah, that's true.
That speaks volume. You know, it's great to see programs like Kentucky, even UCLA's rebirth under Steve Alford.
Yeah.
But when you don't know the players, especially Kentucky, there's nobody on Kentucky's team that you remember from 2 years ago, okay?
They're all gone.
They're all gone.
Yeah.
So it's always a rebuilding process, and I'm not knocking the new talent that comes in,
yeah,
saying that they shouldn't get a chance, but also the talent that was in it, if they don't make it in the NBA, where do they go?
Yeah.
They may have a chance to go to Europe or one of these countries and play in Asia, but Charlton, their NBA dreams may have been quashed.
Oh, yeah.
They might be in the D League.
Yeah, that's true.
The number one thing is, Charlton, they're devoid of that education.
That's true.
Maturity. That speaks so much of these programs, as they call them, second-tier program, mid-majors. They have maturity in the program. You know, we talked about the great John Wood many times on the program.
Yeah.
He had maturity in his program. That was before freshmen could play college basketball. They did actually have JV teams before you knew it.
Yeah.
And so these players stayed around and matured. When you think about some of the last great teams to have, you know, senior leadership, Georgetown used to get that under John Thompson. You know, when he was running, the big John Thompson at Georgetown.
Yeah.
He had seniors in his program. You know, Patrick Ewing spent 4 years in his program, and everybody's like, when is he going to go to the NBA?
Yeah.
And he would tell them, after I graduated, that's what I came here for.
That's what he came in for.
At Houston.
Yeah.
You think about the run that they had, 3 years in a row in the NCAA tournament. Players went there to graduate. You know, people gave Jerry Tarkanian over the years such a hard time.
Yeah.
About the players that he recruited. But Jerry Tarkanian, Charlton, constantly ended up in the finals. You know, championship runs, getting deep into the tournament.
Yeah.
Why? Is because players stayed around, Charlton.
They played around. They,
in his program.
That's part.
Players in to make them better people.
Yeah, and that's part of the whole process too. When you have players that stick around, Big C. I also want to just say that some news that came out about Georgetown University. They actually let go of John Thompson III. We know the great John Thompson took Georgetown to national prominence back in the day, and they were always looking at getting into the at least Sweet 16, Big C. So I would just want to, you know, he'll do fine in his life. John Thompson Jr. He was 14 and 18 this season, and finished 9th place in the Big East. So you know it's about winning, Big C. Even though your father is a great figure in the world of basketball. Another couple of games I want to touch on too, because a lot of people are surprised in the East region, Big C. You look at South Carolina. Everyone thought Duke would get there with Coach Krzyzewski. I think Coach Krzyzewski makes about $10 million a year, but Duke finds a way to always get knocked out when it gets to this point of the season, and they're playing their 24-10 number 7 seed. They're playing number 3 seed Baylor, which is 27-7, had a tough win against USC, so Southern California being represented very well. But South Carolina, out of the SEC, do they have a chance to get a Baylor team that likes to run the ball up and down the court, Big C? Your thoughts?
They run the ball up and down the court, but you also got to look at what South Carolina has done, Charlton. They stopped some of the best offenses in the country.
Yeah.
And when they went in as Krzyzewski and Duke,
yeah.
This is a team that was a high-octane team. You know, Baylor is not a team that's under the radar. They've been in national prominence all year long, a highly ranked team.
Yeah.
And they played well, Charlton. It's just they don't get the national acclaim like in Oregon. I mean, I'd hate to see Oregon and Baylor playing each other. I wouldn't know who's who.
Who's who?
You know, they got all that cocktails.
I'm sure Phil Knight knows his way to Oregon and also to Waco, Texas, Big C for Baylor.
Well, he would be confused with all his colors. He would have every shade of green on the court with those two if they were to match up.
That's funny.
Baylor has done marvelous. The women's program down there under Kim Mulkey has won a national championship a few years ago.
Yeah.
The men's basketball program has come to prominence, Charleston. And when you think about this, you look at Baylor, they're down there in Waco, Texas.
Yeah.
And off Beach Street that they play on.
Yeah.
But this program, this is what we've mentioned many times. The prominence of national television, these television contracts allow players to go anywhere now and play. We saw that a couple of years ago with Wichita State. When the Shockers were running the road, and they were ranked in the top 10 in the country.
Yeah.
And they hadn't done that since the 70s, where they had Antoine Carr and Cliff Livingston.
Yeah.
And made it to the Elite Eight. But, this is what these programs can do now, Charlton. You don't have to be one of those programs from 20 years ago that everybody talked about. You can be a program now and build in a hurry. I looked today where the University of Washington had the top recruit in the country, top basketball. Missouri named the new head coach.
Yeah.
This kid decommitted and signed with Missouri.
Oh, really?
And when you think about the SEC has 3 teams playing in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
This was the number one changer of the landscape of college basketball today, Charlton. Because not only did you get him, but you're going to get also some change on the side, Charlton, because you're going to get some other players saying, he's there, I want to go with him. You get the new coach. We're building a program. And not only that, Charlton, he has a brother that may be a little better than him that may decommit from where he is and join him at Missouri. So when we look at what these schools can do now, Charlton, you just can't always walk out there and say, this is who it is.
Yeah.
You have to now recognize that talent is abound. And that's what we have with Butler, the small university out of St. Louis.
Yeah.
3 times in the last 7 years, Charlton, on a national championship hunt.
Same thing out here when I saw a game last night where Xavier knocked off Arizona. They're out of Cincinnati. Could you imagine Huggins having access to Cincinnati and also Xavier? Those programs have been very strong over the years, Big C. I want to get to the point that Baylor's 3.5-point favorite, but I look at Florida. You just talked about the SEC. They're 1.5-point favorite over Wisconsin. Florida's the number 4 seed. They're 26-8 versus number 8 Wisconsin, 27-9. And that game's going to tip off tonight on TBS. But I'm just thinking the Wisconsin, the fact that they've been there so many times and they've always been well coached. They're one of the most dominant teams coming out of that Big Ten, it seems, every year, Big C. I know a 1.5-point favorite by Florida, but I wouldn't be surprised, of course, if Wisconsin wins just because they're so battle-tested, Big C. Your thoughts on that game?
Well, battle-tested, Jonathan, this is what we constantly talked about, a singulated ball club.
Yeah.
A team of experience, a team that's not going to get rattled because you got a lot of young freshmen out there who may not know how to handle the pressure of the moment of that big game.
Yeah.
Wisconsin's seen it all, Charlton. So these players keep coming back. They have players that could be in the NBA right now. But that education was more important. That team camaraderie is very important because once the college experience is over, Charlton, it's over. I remember years ago when I left college, that was the thing that I hated the most.
Yeah.
That it was over. Even though I spent the 4 years, it was over.
Yeah.
And those guys that I had built these relationships with that became family members, Charlton.
Yeah.
That I had grown and we had the same pains and growth together.
Yeah.
For 4 years.
Yeah.
And you no longer have that with them anymore. So I look at these players who do the one and done. And what are they getting? I understand they're getting an early start on a great professional life.
Yeah.
But life experience also has a value, Charlton.
Oh, yeah.
And when you miss that rites of passage into manhood, yes, you might be a millionaire, but you miss part of that rites of passage into a manhood.
Yeah.
Growing in those years, Charlton.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, Big C. And when you think about Wisconsin, no one has more NCAA wins over the last 4 years than the Badgers. That shows how strong their program is. I also want to say this segment is sponsored by Big C Sports and Ben & Mark Athletic Insurance. We can insure any athlete or sports events all over the United States. We're in all 50 states. Tweet out to us on the iHeartRadio network. And also follow us on Twitter at YesCharlton on Twitter through Ben & Mark and athletic insurance through Big C Sports. Big C, the biggest game that, at least here on the West Coast, and I know this game is being played in another region of the country. When I look at the great two programs, the number 2 Kentucky Wildcats, they're 31-5 versus the great UCLA Bruins. They're the number 3 seed. They're 31-4. And just a little bit about these two programs. UCLA with 11 national titles. Kentucky has 8, and they won the most NCAA titles, those two programs. North Carolina is tied for 3rd at 5. The Tar Heels, they have a really good program as well. But when I look at UCLA and Kentucky, you think about the fact that UCLA was on the road earlier this year, and they had a 13-point lead over Kentucky at one time. They snapped their home winning streak. I think it was 42 games. And what I like about UCLA, that's a program that boasts 88 games, a winning streak back in the day when they had, the great John Wooden. And we talked about Lonzo Ball and his father and all that talk. But TJ Leaf is really strong. They have, I think that their coaching and their bench play, the fact that they've already gone to Kentucky and beat them at Rupp Arena, and they had a 13-point lead. I think both teams have gotten better. And I will say one thing that I agree with about the Ball family. When I see this kid play, I was at the regionals here in Sacramento, and watching this kid pass, he does remind me of Magic Johnson. He has a great no-look pass. He's consistent with the ball. He doesn't turn the ball over, and he doesn't mind getting his teammates involved. That's what I like about Ball. I think going down the stretch, if the ball was in his hand, no pun intended, I think UCLA has a chance again of winning this game. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, they do have an excellent chance, Elvis, but to repeat against a team that is senior, especially on the college level, is the most difficult thing. And they won on Kentucky's home floor.
Yeah.
And this is basically a home game for Kentucky there in Memphis.
Yeah.
And you think about John Calipari, him understanding how to prepare for a team the second time around. He saw some things that, he's going to be able to correct the first time that these two teams play, Charles.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, I think the Ball's dad is becoming a distraction because they're putting too much pressure on the kid.
Yeah.
And he has to go up there and live up to his dad's fights on television and tweets and in the media. And so people are going to be looking at him. If he makes any type of errors in the game, Charles,
yeah,
it's going to be saying, hey, this is because of his dad. It's not because maybe somebody put the pressure on him, but it's because of his dad. And so there's tremendous amount of pressure on his psyche. That's the thing you look at going into this game. How is his psyche going to be?
Yeah.
And if he's affected in any kind of way, you got to look back at all of what his dad has done on television this past week.
Yeah. And another thing and I hope it's not a distraction when you talk about Alford, UCLA the alumni wanted to get rid of Coach Alford last year because they did not have the kind of season that they become accustomed to over in Bruinland, over in Westwood. And now here's a chance for him to go back to his home state of Indiana and coach the Hoosiers. I think he's gone from UCLA this year, just like Ball's going to leave. If there's any chance for UCLA to win a national championship in the next couple of years, is now. It's just like what the program at Kentucky has done. These players come in and they don't rest them. They don't take their freshmen and make them sit the bench. When they come in at UCLA or Kentucky, they're going to start if they can play, Big C. That kind of pressure, these guys know they're playing for NBA spots. What do you look for as what could be a turning point in tonight's game, Kentucky and UCLA, Big C?
Well, the turning point is going to be from the bench. How the coaches utilize their timeouts.
Yeah.
And you say about Alford, there's a lot of things on his mind as well as Ball. UCLA, Charlton, is going to lose 5 players at the end of this season.
Yeah.
Okay? 4 of the starters as well as the coach's son is going to be gone. So it's a rebuilding project at UCLA.
Yeah.
And you spoke about alumni didn't want him there.
Yeah.
So, I can understand his need to leave if he does. Because he's got to now retool his program, and it took him 3 years to get to this point. So, if he leaves, let him leave. Let him go back to Indiana.
Yeah.
But also, you'll get some time to rebuild that program.
Yeah.
Which I think would be more of a comfort zone for him. And he's from that area, Charlton, so it'd be more of a natural fit. It's a shame that both of those crowds hang over this potentially great game tonight.
Yeah.
That the potential of a coach leaving, the potential of a father growing up on the sideline during the game.
Yeah.
Not allow his son to have his spotlight in the sun. So, it's one of those things that you always got to look at in the NCAA as those intangibles.
Yeah, and that's true. And again, that game's tonight on CBS Sports. That's a 9:39 p.m. Eastern Time start, and it should be a great game no matter who wins. Again, I have to pull for the good old boys out here from UCLA. They always say they wish they all could be California girls. Let me ask you to make a sexist statement. It's not sexist because Donald Trump already beat us to the punch, Big C. Who has prettier women, UCLA or Kentucky, Big C? Your thoughts? Yeah.
Hands down. I remember before they changed the color of the football uniform.
Yeah.
It was one of the greatest colored football uniforms in the history of college sports.
Oh, yeah.
The gold and light blue.
Yeah.
The blue colors often mixed together. Even the basketball uniforms, they always look classy.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever UCLA showed up, I'll say, wow, they look neat. I remember back in college, and you see them come out in the stadium, and you're like, damn.
Yeah, it's a great recruiting tool. I remember back in the day when Pete Carroll was coaching at USC, and he always had the movie stars. Hollywood showed up on the sideline at USC football games. They would have Snoop Dogg. They would have Kevin Costner. They had anybody. Denzel Washington would show up. Ice Cube. They would always show up at the USC games. But when it came to all the talent and the cheerleading squad, basketball brought it home because UCLA plays inside, of course, and they were always most successful in basketball. So you got a chance to see the cheerleaders close up. But nothing like Southern California. Would love to see a Southern California influence down in Phoenix when you go to March Madness and the Final Four Big C. As we transition a little bit into the world of the NFL, I know the Bears, speaking of another Southern California player, I think they brought on Mark Sanchez, who also played at USC under the great Pete Carroll back in the day. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you look at the Bears, what they're doing at quarterback, and they're still trying to figure it out. That they had Barkley, who finished up the season, another Southern California quarterback. Last had some pretty decent numbers, Charles, as far as yardage with the Bears.
Yeah.
Quarterback who hadn't played much, but you look at what the Bears have done this offseason. You go out and you sign a guy, Charleston, who sit on the bench for the last 2 years, who was 1-10 as a starter previous to their team getting the number one overall draft pick. So he had to be held partially responsible for that, Charleston, allowing the team to get the number one overall draft pick, Jameis Winston. But he sit on the bench for the last 2 years, and that was worth $47 million over 3 years. So that's not a bad
Wait. Hold on, Big C. How much money did he get for sitting on the bench?
He got paid this year $47 million for sitting on the bench for the last 2 years.
My goodness.
So you sign a guy who sit on the bench for the last 2 years. Now you go out to bid and you sign a guy who's been to 2 AFC championship games.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of tools working in Chicago right now. But, up front they're trying to say that Glennon is better than Sanchez, even though Sanchez, of the two of them, is the only one with the winning record as a quarterback in the NFL. But he's the minority, so he's the minority also in the numbers when you look at that.
Yeah.
But, Chicago, they've lost their top receivers. You're signing quarterbacks, but you lose your top receiver. Alshon Jeffrey now is in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Your offensive line was atrocious last year.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do to improve your team? You keep signing these quarterbacks, and we've seen it with teams, Shelton. They sign quarterbacks, but they can't protect them. It's like even with Tony Romo.
Yeah.
They never took him off their wish list because they realized how fragile he was and how cold it gets at Mile High.
Yeah.
He won't make it. So why bring in something that got rid of a broke down quarterback who didn't play last year?
Well,
so why bring in another feeble old veteran that you might get a year or two out of?
Could you imagine the kind of money that Joe Montana would have made if he had his skills in today's climate? Where guys that didn't even play, they set the bench are getting $40+ million. Is that what you're saying, Big C?
Well, not even Joe Montana talking. If you think about some of the mid-run quarterbacks who played back in the 70s and 80s in the NFL, who put up gaudy numbers compared to these guys. You talk about Joe Montana, think about a guy like Gary Anderson.
Yeah.
Who played in Cincinnati. These guys got the job done. They went to Super Bowls. These quarterbacks that year in and year out were productive in the NFL who got their teams to the playoffs. Think about the money that a Dan Fouts would make today in the NFL and the Eric Coryell's offense. Yeah. That dancing menagerie that they had down there in San Diego back in the 70s and 80s, just uncanny. You know, they're just ridiculous numbers. You know, that they went out and produced game in and game out. And even the teams who did the Mexican Super Bowl, you think about Snake Staples.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he would be at the top of the money list. Gary Bradshaw, 4 Super Bowls, Charlotte. There's not a team that can afford him in the NFL right now.
Well, look at Jim.
Ron Jaworski, the announcer on ESPN.
Yeah.
You know, Jaws had a very exciting NFL career over time in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And the numbers that he put up, taking the Eagles to the Super Bowl. But Randall Cunningham, Charlie, you're thinking about him playing with the Eagles and the Vikings.
Yeah.
Being a former MVP with the year that he had one year when they set the scoring record.
Yeah.
He's a $25 million quarterback, Charlie. So the quarterback of yesteryear, the money wasn't there then. But when you look at the numbers that they put up and paving the way for these young guys now that are non-productive, that are making money, you got to laugh at it. I know they're having jokes about it.
They're having jokes about all the moonshine these owners are making. It's a shame that Colin Kaepernick still can't get a job, Big C. But I think Donald Trump knows how it feels because health cover is over, or I guess Donald Trump care was overturned because a lot of guys didn't want to put their political careers on the line for something like that, Big C.
This is what the NFL owners need to look at now.
Yeah.
That he couldn't abolish the black health care. Okay, he couldn't abolish black health care. So they can go outside Colin Kaepernick now.
Yeah.
His tweets mean nothing.
You know, back in the day where a lot of people would say, how could you let a black guy have that job? There's a lot of white guys looking for work too. Now you got a black guy that got America's health care, and this white dude couldn't do it in Donald Trump. Because a lot of people keep that racism thing on the inside of them. But just think about not giving Colin Kaepernick a job when he's trying to give food to feed hungry people. And again, we talked about the GoFundMe page through Karen Holloway Smith on Facebook, and there's a Pastor Dan that I spoke with also. They're trying to get wells in Africa for clean water. Here's Colin Kaepernick trying to feed hungry people throughout the world, and you have this guy who's a joke of a president right now that can't even pass health care, Big C. And now, and I don't even know what to say about that, but I just want to hope that people get the chance to go out and find work, and it's not held against you when you stand up against people who are marginalized in society. But I want to bring something up to you. You know, one of your best friends that I've known, you know, Jerry Jones, you guys don't make it a public relationship, Big C, but I hear you good old boys sip from the same moonshine cup every now and then. What's he going to do with Tony Romo, his best friend, Big C? Your thoughts?
This is that love relationship that he has going on with Tony.
What is, like Tina Turner told us, what does love got to do with it, Big C? Just give the man a job.
$22 million, there's a lot of love that's given somebody.
Yeah.
And you know, he's hurt in many ways, ironically. You got to look at it from Jerry's perspective.
Yeah.
He did not expect to have the success under Dak Prescott that he had.
Yeah.
So his hands are tied in many ways.
Yeah.
He has this African-American quarterback that he paid with bonuses and all, I think about $1.1 million last year.
Yeah, minimum wage.
Minimum wage. And he paid the guy holding the clipboard on the sideline a little over $19 million.
Yeah.
And so he's torn. He's like, I got this guy that I told everybody that this is his franchise.
Yeah.
Tony Romo is our quarterback. He said that all last year. When Tony's ready to play, he'll play.
Yeah.
And so Tony wants to play. And so Jerry's got to look at it. Am I Donald Trump? Okay?
Yeah.
I told everybody that Tony's our quarterback. So how do I cut Tony? How do I trade Tony? Because I told the world he's our quarterback. Just like Donald Trump said, I'm going to repeal and replace Obamacare day one in office.
So what?
Obamacare is still there.
Yeah.
And 6 months later, Tony Romo is still in Dallas.
And Rush Limbaugh still has health care, Big C. So you know you got to have a guaranteed issue if Rush Limbaugh's going to be insured, Big C. This guy sweats when he sits in front of a fan. I don't know how much Oxycontin he still has in his system, Big C, but I just think that's funny. I hear it makes you sweat. Big C. So obviously he might need to be drug tested before he gets back on the radio. Well, that's a little bit too much information, Big C. I want to touch on a few of the NBA games tonight. You know, Sacramento over at Golden State, and obviously it should be a win for Golden State, a 17.5-point favorite. These are two programs in Northern California. People in the Sacramento region used to take the bus or drive the car down to the Coliseum to watch Golden State play back in the days of Rick Barry and them good old boys, Big C. And now you have Sacramento, which is just trying to get into the playoffs as a number 8 seed until they got rid of DeMarcus Cousins and brought in some good old boys. And then now they're trying to build for next year. But ironically, had they made the playoffs, they would have had to play against a team that's a 17.5-point favorite. Big C, why 2 different paths for 2 teams that are less than 100 miles apart when about 6 years ago, Golden State had one of the worst records in the league? Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, to me, it's a look no further than the Bay Area where you are with the Raiders and the 49ers.
Yeah.
I mean, two teams are separated by a strait of water.
Yeah, 10 miles.
The misfortune of those franchises where the Raiders have gone north, the Niners have been going south in the past 2 years. And it comes from management. You look at what McKenzie's done there with the Raiders, and everybody blasting. But he was building a team from the ground foundation.
Yeah.
You look at what Trent Baalke did in San Francisco. He tore it down.
Yeah.
And you can say that Roddy Debot is the Trent Baalke of the NBA.
Yeah.
You've taken the best features of your organization and dismantled them. You got rid of solid head coaches that you had. You got rid of your best player. But you as the GM have to be accountable when that best player is going awry all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you control his paycheck. When the fines get to the point that they're starting to cost me, maybe my behavior will change.
Well, I tell you, Big C.
Every time I get suspended, it's $1 million and it's in the contract.
Yeah.
So you've got suspended 5 times during the season. That's $5 million that you give it up. I don't care how much money you make.
Yeah.
$5 million, $5 million.
Well, I think, boys will be boys, right? And there's real talk, and that's what we have Big C Sports. And this,
Stop advocating for Donald Trump on the program.
Okay.
Hey. Come on, man. This is Kellyanne Conway you're talking to, okay?
You gotta understand. At least Donald Trump has a good taste in the mail order brides that he's always into, like every 5 or 6 years. I wonder what Melania thinks now that at least she gets to keep some health care, basically, if he goes to a different direction, if you know what I mean. But I think the Sacramento Kings, no pun intended, they were a better team when they were owned by the Maloofs. And I know Vivek is an engineer guy from Silicon Valley, and now they're trying to have the best arena in the world, and it's a gorgeous arena. I love the Golden One Center. But when they were with the Maloofs, they called them playboys. Okay, this is real talk. He always took his players down to Las Vegas. I don't know what happened in Las Vegas, Big C. I think they go to church, all right? So after they have church service in Las Vegas, they were in the playoffs for 8 straight years. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the clue, Big C. Shouldn't they have that direct flight from Sacramento down to Vegas again, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Jonathan, that was a maturity and relaxation that came.
Yeah.
You were allowed to go down there and express yourself with Vegas.
Exactly.
But, now that they have all these young guys, I don't even know if the guys, today's team, Jonathan, even spend time with each other to go have a bowl of buffalo wings.
No.
Because they're so busy trying to go off in their own direction.
Yeah.
Until games and practice are over. So this is one of the things that we talked about. When you have a veteran team, you have camaraderie.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that veteran team, Jonathan, you don't have that camaraderie. And we spoke about that with the Lakers earlier.
Yeah.
They've had all these young number 1 draft picks, just like the 76ers, that haven't panned out. But when you look at the teams that are in the NBA playoffs, you got veteran teams. The Cleveland Cavaliers, Charlton, are a veteran team.
Yeah.
The Golden State Warriors are a veteran team. Even Oklahoma City Thunder in years past was a veteran. Everybody knew that San Antonio was synonymous with a veteran team. Boston has built that veteran foundation.
Yeah.
Toronto, how long has that team been together up north when you keep butchering the national anthem?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still trying to learn it, Big C. I'm mixing my Spanish with my French Canadian, and it kind of gets stuck in my throat, Big C, if you ever try that sometime.
When you're constantly having these top 5 picks, when you're in the lottery, Charlton, that means you don't have stabilization in the program.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that, Charlton, this means that you're not giving the optimum performance. And you've got these young guys that you need to build a mentor into their contract. You're paying them so much money anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But you need to build in, I don't even know if it's a mentor, a babysitter or something.
Yeah. Hey, maybe they can maybe they can hire Kellyanne Conway to babysit Big C. She's going to need a job coming up pretty soon. Your thoughts?
You don't want to count for okay?
that's funny.
On the serious side, this is one of the things you have to look at when you're building these organizations. You got to look at bringing in some veterans. We just lost Jerry Krause, the great Jerry Krause, who was the architect of the Bulls and also the Chicago White Sox for decades there in Chicago. And when you look at the structure of his teams that he had, Charlton, he had veteran players. You didn't see him going out with a bunch of fango high-priced rookies other than Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Scottie Pippen. Those two. But other than that, you really didn't notice a lot of rookies on his roster. Guys he was bringing in. He had veteran centers, Charlton, that he had within the organization. When he made trades for players in Kerr, who was a veteran, in Rodman, who was a veteran. He brought these guys in that could fit in what they had planned on doing. But when you got teams like the Lakers, you think about one of the proudest organizations in the NBA. Nobody's wanted to go there for the last 5 years and play. For whatever reason, no free agents have gone to LA, and you would have thought being one of the most attractive spots in the world to play professional sports. You got Hollywood. You got an opportunity for off-the-court employment through acting and commercials and endorsements.
Yeah.
But they've never been able to attract anybody, just like in New York. They have not been able to attract anybody to Madison Avenue.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. So management needs to change. The NBA may need to get involved. Instead of the Commissioner of Silver going out talking about players getting some rest, the black players sitting down for a night because they're tired.
Hey, I'm for everybody being able to go to Vegas and get some church. There was a movie, I forgot what it was, but I know Mike Tyson was in the movie, and he had this lion. Was it Hangover? Okay, how do you know what the name of the movie is? I didn't even say it yet, Big C. You and the Moonshine Boys. I want to finish up quickly on the NBA, then I get your thoughts. At the Washington, they're a 12.5-point favorite over Brooklyn. Indiana, 1.5-point favorite over Denver. Cleveland by 2 over Charlotte. We have Detroit. They're a 4-point favorite at Orlando. Boston at home, a 15-point favorite over Phoenix. Milwaukee, a 5.5-point over Atlanta. Houston with Harden, he can really shoot the lights out, a 7-point favorite over Boogie Cousins and New Orleans Pelicans. And then Chicago, a 6-point favorite against Philadelphia. Minnesota's at the Lakers. We just talked about the Lakers. I think Magic Johnson will turn some things around for the LA Lakers. Hopefully he can turn some things around for that great story franchise, Big C. As we close out in the final minute or so, Big C, of the program, just your thoughts on this 2017 World Baseball Classic that was played all over the country, Big C. Really good baseball. We just missed the fact that Team USA showcased how good baseball is here in the United States, even though a lot of players come from Latin America. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it proved that baseball has never gone away.
Yeah.
That's what was good about the World Baseball Classic. And I think America missed out on so much because we have so many sporting events going on. We got college hockey, we got the NHL, we got college basketball going on, Charlton. 3 different tournaments when you think about it. We got the NCAA tournament, we got the NIT tournament, we got the women's tournament going on. We got NFL free agency. So there's a lot out there on the plate for that sports fan.
Yeah.
And you always got soccer going on somewhere in the world. But, this World Baseball Classic, Charlton, bringing together the best of the best from each country. And to be having, American soil between Puerto Rico, the Dominican and the U.S.
Yeah.
The U.S. will come out, on top. There's some great play, Charlton, but, so many fans, especially young players, Charlton, now, and we call them all the ESPN generation because they look at highlights. They forget how to play the game from technical perspective. And baseball is the most technical of all professional sports, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because the game is built purely on angles. Every angle in baseball has something to do with the game. And it's from the shape of the diamond on, Charlton, the height of the mound, the position of the bases.
Yeah.
And so when a game is technical, and I think with the young players now, the way they just push through looking at highlights and not understanding the complexity of something, that's why baseball has lost its luster in the United States.
Yeah.
It's like when you look at soccer, how big it is on the worldwide stage.
Yeah.
And it's a game like baseball. It's about technicalities. It's about working on angles. But the young player nowadays is like, give me the ball.
Yeah.
Keyshawn Johnson messed up for a lot of young players talking about just giving the ball.
Yeah, that's funny.
And there's not a young player that walks out on the field starting with Pop Warner on up, who doesn't have twice the amount of gear on that an NFL player has.
Yeah.
And that comes from watching the dang highlight shows, Charlton.
Yeah.
So we're losing so many young, great athletes that could have been superior in other sports like baseball because they see Sports Center.
Yeah.
And Sports Center only wants to show highlights. They never show the technical aspect of a game. Let's see them taking the three.
Yeah.
Let's see them with the windmill dunk. Let's see them with the block shot. This is all we want to see. But they don't show how the game got to that point. And I think that's what gets interested so many young players today, Charlton, in playing baseball in America, because if the young player understood, baseball has the best union of all professional sports.
Yeah.
Hear me this. They have the best union of all professional sports. You spend one day in Major League Baseball, you qualify for your pitching. You have to spend at least one full season in the NFL, not 14 games, 16 games to qualify for your pitching. And to be fully vested, you have to spend 3 full seasons. You have to play 48 games in the NFL to be fully vested. So if your career ends in 45 games, you're only considered half invested in your pension in the NFL. It's not like that in baseball. The NBA is similar to the NFL. So this is what young players understand. It's not about just you playing the game at the moment, but what the game will provide for you 10, 20, 30 years down the road.
Well, Big C, that's always well said. I also want to say again for Pastor Don and Karen Holloway Smith, GoFundMe page on Karen Holloway Smith Facebook. They're trying to raise money for clean water in Africa. It's a great cause. You heard about it on Big C Sports. I also want to say tonight for March Madness, good luck to everybody playing from North Carolina to Butler, Kentucky and UCLA, Baylor, South Carolina, also Florida and Wisconsin. And we'll always tell you every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I always want to say there's never any room for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, just call 911. No woman should have to go through that garbage all on her own. And as we always tell you on every program on iHeartRadio, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.